Hi there, it's Michelle Cameron Coulter. Welcome back to Inspiring Possibilities, the courage to jump in. I'm Olympic gold medalist, TEDx speaker, inspirational leader, and more than that, a mom of 4 young adults and a lifelong student of what it really takes to move forward with courage, resilience, possibility, especially when life feels messy, uncertain, and overwhelming. Today's conversation is such an important one. I'm joined by Dani Alger, a foundational health consultant and the creator of DIG Method, a powerful framework designed to help people optimize their health and performance by aligning with how humans are actually designed to operate. And wow, this conversation goes deep. We talk about burnout, cortisol, nervous system regulation, circadian rhythm. I think that's how you say it. I know that's how you say it. Disorder eating, infertility, high performance culture, and the hidden ways so many of us are unknowingly working against our own biology. What I love about Dani's work is how simple and grounded it is. She reminds us that true health isn't built through pushing or perfection. It's built through awareness, alignment, and learning how to work with our bodies instead of constantly fighting against them. This episode is full of wisdom, honest, practical takeaways, and so many moments that made me stop and reflect. So grab a coffee, go for a walk, take a deep breath, and let's jump in. Awesome. So we're going to dive right in. Welcome, 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 Dani Alger, which I'm so
Thank
excited to have you
you.
here. We met in San Diego just a while ago. And when I heard about what you're doing and having an opportunity to have you on here is awesome. Dani is a foundational health consultant, speaker, and creator of DIG Method, which we get to dig into as well.
Hmm.
And it's a framework designed to optimize health and performance by aligning with how humans are actually designed to operate, like getting back to the basics, right? And I know you work a lot with high performers, leadership teams to double down on what it means to be human. So I cannot wait to dive in because this is such a huge area of interest for me coming from sports and also having driven myself into the ground too. Like, so
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah. I did that too.
yeah.
I did that too.
So good. So I would love to share your story, Dani, like how you got into the work that you're doing now. And it's interesting because you had said earlier you watched my TEDx. We have a lot of things in common, I think.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We do. Okay, so you want me I'll
Yeah,
just
yeah,
dive
just
in here.
yeah.
This is kind of part of my story because it's a big one. When I was 13, almost 14, going into my freshman year in high school, my dad went to hit golf balls at the driving range on a summer afternoon, and he had had a few dizzy spells, but didn't think much of it. Who would at 41?
Yeah.
And we think he must have had a dizzy spell because on the way to the driving range, he pulled over in a parking lot and had a heart attack and died.
Oh gosh.
And he had turned 41 10 days before. And one
Wow.
thing I always say, like, usually I speak to rooms of, men and women, late 40s, 50s, 60s. So people really understand how young that is.
Yeah.
I knew it was young when it happened, but I didn't realize. And now, as a 54-year-old, I'm like, oh my God, so devastating. So talking about, some commonalities that we have, my health journey started right then and there, like capital T trauma, right? That will
Mhm.
rewire your brain instantly. And so I was like, this is never going to happen to me. I'm just going to be so healthy. And my health journey wasn't always so healthy. And I made an identity around being the healthy girl, being the fit girl, being, I ate the best, I did the best workouts. I grew up in San Diego in a bathing suit, so it was very important to me to be fit. But it was 1985, and the best health advice we had was eat less and work out more.
Yeah.
And I would consider
Crazy.
myself a high performer. So I ate even less and worked out even more.
Oh
So
my
I
God.
was, I was working so hard against myself and didn't realize it at the time. And that's really devastating, and this went on. So that was in July. I turned 14 in September. So this went on. I met my husband at 24. At about 28, we were deciding, and I was had a coffee bar, a little espresso bar. That was my gig. And then I taught spin cycling classes to triathletes here in San Diego. So I was very busy getting up in the morning at 5:30, or not 5:30, at 4 a.m., working out in the morning, leaving the house by 5, and then after work I would teach spin training, and so I wasn't sleeping. I was not eating enough for my output. And when I was trying to get pregnant, it wasn't happening. And so that's when I really figured, like, whoa, what is going on here?
I was
And
gonna
ended up,
I was going to
go ahead.
say that, like, just to pause for a minute, like when you were talking about that, about the, eat less, work out more, like that
Mhm.
whole mentality and era was very much like that. And
Oh, yeah.
for me as a high performance athlete, you're in a bathing suit all the time. And it was
Mhm.
like that physique and it catches up on your body. So, and no
Mhm.
wonder by the time you got to that phase of like, wanting to have a family, what we've done to our body by that point in time,
Oh, hmm,
like crazy, thinking this is being healthy, but
right.
what we're depleting our body of, and then how hard that is mentally too, because
Hmm.
it's just not sustainable.
No, you're running on a treadmill that just keeps getting the speed keeps going up.
Yeah.
And yeah, so please stop me. I have a natural fast internal motor, so I
It's
talk
okay.
fast,
I'll
I walk
dive
fast.
in.
So just like give me a signal because I'll just
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
just keep going.
I love it.
But so anyway, yes, I at 28 trying to get pregnant didn't work. By the time I was 30, we had done two in vitros. They didn't work. And someone had just, the right people show up at the right time if you're willing and receptive. And someone told me about this acupuncturist. And I was like, I would do anything. After two in vitros failed, I took a year off and just wanted to just, take a breath and found this gal. And again, I don't know if it was the acupuncture or if it was her saying to me, she looked at my tongue, she looked at my body, she just said, "You have too much fire in your system." And I
Mm,
had never heard that before, but it made sense. And she said, "Your body doesn't trust you, and you won't get pregnant." And so
wow.
she did some acupuncture, but more than anything, she said, "You need to." I was running in every area of my life because that's just how I was used to operating. Not realizing I was actually running on cortisol, even that young.
Mm,
And
mhm.
driven people tend to run on cortisol, which can work
Yeah.
for a long time, and then that's a chemical we really can get addicted to, but it's destroying us. I'll get to that. But
And that's and
so
then to that point, that's what happens until you can't, and
until you can't,
until it's a
yep,
crash. And that's why you see that often you'll see high performance and then right?
yep,
And then it takes longer to get back up because that
hmm,
sustained our bodies to be under that sustained amount of pressure for that long. And I just
right,
learned something that I didn't realize. And it was actually one of my daughters that told me this. She goes that she found out about cortisol. Like we keep saying everyone has, and we'll dive into this more in a bit, but cortisol, levels are high. It's because cortisol kicks in to protect the body and it
for
can't stay
sure.
at that level. It's like cortisol
Mhm.
levels, oh, cortisol is bad. No, it's really trying hard to protect you
It
right now.
is.
So,
Hmm.
and it
I mean,
can't.
it ends up being bad. I mean, cortisol is just, and again, we'll go into that, but cortisol is a big part of our circadian rhythm. It's what kicks it off in the morning. It gives you that burst of energy. And one thing I always remind people, as advanced as our world has become, we are still operating on caveman software. So
Mm,
until we can really acknowledge that and honor that and work with that, we're going to continue to be complete dysregulated maniacs like we are right now.
yeah.
So to add on to that, I learned to slow down in every area of my life. I
Mm.
walked instead of run. I ate more. I just slowed down.
So that was a big adjustment when you said like eight more, because for so long, being that lean, mean fighting machine,
Oh, it was terrible.
going like because we talked about this a little bit, or you sent me a little message about the disordered eating of
Hmm.
like how convoluted it becomes of
Oh, yes.
so if you're okay sharing a little bit of your experience there of what you went through and how you came out, how you finally came out of the other side of that.
Yes. So that was a real there was a lot of noise going on in my head during that time because I knew that I needed to eat more and put on some weight. And it was tough. And thank goodness I was so motivated to have a baby, so it was worth it. But it's amazing what people will say to you because I was always so lean and not meaning anything from it. But I remember several times people like, "Whoa, I have never seen you with meat on your bones." I was like, "Oh God!" And you know what you hear when I mean, fat, fat, fat. So that was a really tough time, even just before getting pregnant, even though in my logical brain, I knew this was the right thing to do. But yeah, that was tough. It was really tough. And I would say I continued to have that, and unless you've had, I say an eating disorder or disordered eating. I know that both are true, but I never starved myself, I thought, and I never vomited. I didn't do any of that stuff. So I was like, oh no, I'm fine. But I knew how to manipulate my diet
Mm.
to continue eating but stay very lean. So it was still always there was just I mean, I would it would take me 10 minutes to order food because oh, don't do this and don't spray this and don't use this. It was horrible. It was
And
terrible.
it's consuming too.
It
Like
is.
I realized how consuming it was. And it was just
Yeah,
like I literally saw like this massive stop sign in the shower, just went, oh my God, because by the time I finally was getting through my challenges around that, like I had three daughters and I did not want them to go through that. Like
right.
just being so hard, obsessed almost with and going,
Right.
instead of enjoying that part of life. And it was a
Hmm.
new freedom that happened when I finally did, but it was not an easy place
Mm,
because we're so, the outside world, like you were saying, like even comments from other people, it's like, oh my God, how much like serious weight that holds on us somehow, which is
right.
ridiculous, right? It's like
It is.
unsustainable and it's like puts that extra stress
Hmm.
totally
Which
on.
I certainly didn't need trying to get
Yeah,
pregnant.
right?
But
Exactly.
one thing I thought was very interesting, and I also kind of use this in my work now, is that when I got pregnant, every bit of that disordered eating mentality, it went away. And I was like, oh, it felt so free.
Mm.
And I didn't realize that once I had those babies, like your issues, they'll wait for you. They'll wait for you. It was finally not
Wow.
about me. It was about these. So I got pregnant with twins. I keep saying
Wow.
babies. I got pregnant with twins. And so I had a great pregnancy. I loved being pregnant. I felt freer than I had felt in 15 years. But it didn't take long until, of course, then I had them. And it was like, oh, now that treadmill starts back again. I got to get back down, get this baby weight off. So and then, this is another part of the story is that when the twins were born, they came early and they had to be in the NICU for about 3 weeks. And
Wow.
that was when I learned about circadian rhythm. A nurse that was amazing, which most of them are. I would spend all day in the NICU, rocking my babies, feeding my babies, hanging out with the nurses until they were able to come home. And one nurse said, if you want to have any kind of life, you're going to have to get these babies dialed into their circadian rhythm because especially being in the NICU, it's always daytime in the NICU. There's
Wow.
always monitors and people coming all throughout the night. And she's like, you really need. And so I did a deep dive into circadian rhythm and understanding that. I had every light in the house put on a dimmer. And I really, really, really taught them, like, through behaviors and, light calibrates the brain, food calibrates the body. So I really got into circadian rhythm and consequently getting myself in circadian alignment while having these babies, I got pregnant naturally.
Wow. Okay, that's
So
so beautiful
it's
because your
crazy.
body, it is, but you know what? That message is so massive because for the first time ever, you're saying being, and you're saying this with two brand new babies, like,
Hmm.
that it was the first time your body being out of that stress that you could relax and be, and then now adding this beautiful, which like I did not, like I know how important sleep is, but understanding even more from you the importance of the circadian rhythm to be able to like let your body have a place to heal because we know how important
Right.
that rest is. But
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
excited to learn more about that. But it's so cool the magic of when we do take care of our bodies, look at like the
Right.
miracles, like
It
literally
works. It
life.
does what it's supposed to do. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. Go
Yeah.
figure, right? But we keep working against our natural biology.
Right.
And so that was, again, you can always connect the dots backwards, right? Like, oh,
Totally.
getting pregnant, my nervous system was completely there was an alarm going on in my brain and body, and I didn't even know it. And I wouldn't have known it. I could have kept going if it wasn't for me trying to get pregnant,
Yeah.
realizing that, oh, I am completely out of sorts and out of alignment with my biology. Yes, I'm not going to get pregnant. So anyway, so then that, and then finding out about circadian rhythm, and then all these walls that I continue to hit throughout my lifetime were my biggest lessons,
Mm.
as they are, right? And it's and so I'm trying to think where we go from here. Okay, so
Well,
then
I
so then
want
I
to
get
ask
pregnant again. I get pregnant again.
the
And so
second
I
time.
have the twins were 14 months old and I'm pregnant again. And so kind of did the same thing with him when he was born. Got him, he was sleeping through the night by like 10 weeks, just because I
Wow.
got him right dialed in. I thought maybe I got lucky the first time, but no, and they're still great sleepers at 22 and 20 and 22. Uh, but anyway, and so from there, I'm trying to think what my next lesson was: the
Well,
circadian
what
rhythm, the nervous system.
Well, let's pause for a second here too and dive in a little bit more because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're noticing even more, um, women wanting to have babies
Mhm.
and more challenges with having babies, like more and more.
For
Um,
sure.
so, I think that you're hitting on something that's so key is like I know it's not as simple as this, but when we're stressed about something, it makes it way
Mhm.
harder for it to
For
happen.
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
so I think some of the things that you're sharing, and we'll dig into the dig method too in a bit, but like understanding the fundamental things of just simply, it sounds so simple, but slowing down and giving ourselves that space and grace to
Right. Right.
alleviate
And
the
it's
stress.
it, it is simple, but it's not easy, as they
It's not
say,
easy.
because when you are upset in your body, trying to get pregnant or whatever it is you want that's not happening right away, it's again, you're going to hear me say cortisol a million times,
Yeah.
but it's the misuse of cortisol. And
Yes.
there's so many things that when your body is in a high cortisol, high adrenaline state, which is what we call fight, flight, freeze,
Freeze.
your your body doesn't prioritize digestion. So a lot of people a lot of my high performers I work with, I can't even tell you how many of them they've been taking Prilosec, they've been taking Tums because their digestion is so bad because their body's like, we're not going to prioritize digestion. We need to get away from this predator, which is not as much of a predator anymore as we once had. But then it doesn't prioritize fertility. And
Mm,
that's something that I talk with a lot of women that are trying to get pregnant. And I know my journey was, the twins are now 22, but it's still the same thing. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like our lifestyle is even faster and more pressure and more performance, that I think that is the root problem for most
I
people.
I agree. And that's why I was asking you that because I see that it's like way higher levels of challenges and there is increased stress and to the pace that everyone's trying to keep up, like period, right? So there's
Hmm.
so many more pressures, I think, because everything's moving so much faster. So I do think that what you're talking about, what we're talking about is super, super key to that all. So
Hmm. For sure.
okay, so because I know that we'll dive into the dig method, but what from being a mom, now three little ones,
Hmm.
what then got you into where you are now, like in the work that you're doing?
So I always, in college, I studied biology, psychology, and nutrition. So that was always my wheelhouse. So that, even though most of what I learned is not what I teach right now, but I
Interesting.
was just fascinated. I mean, from the time I was really young, I was always reading all the magazines. Health and human behavior is just something I've always been into. So I did do nutrition counseling after college. I worked with triathletes then and did that for a while, and then randomly started a coffee business. at 24 just because I had this opportunity. So I did that for a while, which was a blast.
Oh,
And
that
then
would be
I
so much fun.
sold,
So
I
much
know it was
fun.
so
I always
fun. It
thought I
was,
wanted to have a coffee shop that was like came for coffee, stayed for wine. Like
oh, yeah, what a fabulous idea.
yeah,
Just stay all day.
on a beach somewhere
Yes,
with palm trees
yes.
around it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love it. So that was such a fun gig for 4 or 5 years, and I sold my business when I got married, and then again we were just like, oh, we're just gonna get pregnant right away. So I was just helping my husband with his business and just thinking, I was just somebody that made a plan and followed the plan, and all of a sudden the plan didn't work as well as I thought. So yeah, then there was like 4 years of infertility treatment. So that was kind of my job for 4 years.
Wow.
Anyway, so then skip ahead. I actually, once I had all those babies, I was literally dripping in babies for many years, and I had a camera, and I just started taking pictures of them, and then neighbors and friends would be like, "Oh, can you take pictures of my kids?" And so then I became a photographer. I've always had a little entrepreneurial spirit.
I
So
love it.
I loved it. And then on the side, I would still work with clients on health, helping people with health issues and that type of thing. It was just always fun. Mostly my 3 children were my subjects, so they got health coached, whether they liked it or not. They were more like hostages than clients, but
Yeah.
but now I can safely say, obviously, that they marinated in that, and they are all so healthy. I mean, they weren't always, but
Oh,
they loved it.
I love that. And we are a product of our environment. And I
For sure.
remember like there are so many parallels. Like my background was, well, sports, but I studied kinesiology and health, understanding the mind and all those sort of things,
Yeah.
always so intrigued. And my mom was that mom too. Like we had the brown bread and fruit, and all I wanted was to trade it for an Oreo cookie at school. It's like,
Yes,
but
yes,
now I'm just like going, oh my God, I'm so grateful for the things that I
totally.
learned, right?
Right.
And
No, there
not
is
like,
something to that. When you have marinated in something, it affects you because obviously
yes.
that's all the subconscious stuff. Because I mean, I would find candy wrappers and boxes of cereal in the kids' bedrooms, and I used to be like, oh my God. And and I mean, it was fine. I knew they were going to get it
Moderation.
somewhere. I just
Yeah.
didn't want to have it available in the cupboard downstairs in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Moderation.
now they eat just like they did growing up. And so I'm like, oh yes, this does work. So parents, stick with it. Keep preaching the good the good stuff because
And
it
it
does
is
it does work.
moderation because when we say you can't have this, but
Right.
you know from experience and everyone listening, when you get to a place like a healthy eating, like not obsessive, but a
Right,
healthy
right.
eating, you just don't feel super great when you're eating a lot of crap. But to have it every
Exactly.
once in a while, like, yes, have the chocolate cake, yes, have whatever it is. But it's just,
Hmm.
you actually, when your body has what it needs, it doesn't crave that so much. It
Oh,
comes from a
yes.
different healthy place, not a, I
Right.
can't have that. It's a way
Right. Your
different
body's
way of thinking.
regulated, so you're not having
Exactly.
crazy cravings like spikes and crashes. And that's
Yeah.
that's a big part of what I teach as well. It's like when you don't when you're not fighting against yourself. I mean, when we eat high carbohydrate, highly processed foods, we get a spike and a crash, and that makes us hungrier.
Yeah.
It's just it's how our chemistry works. And when you understand your biochemistry a little bit more, you can actually learn to orchestrate it in a way that you don't have that noise. That I
Yeah.
mean the noise that I had because I was, I mean again, going back to the 80s and 90s, everything was eat low fat, high carbohydrate. So of course we were starving.
Yeah.
We had no protein
Where's
and
the
fat.
protein? Where's all the, yeah.
Oh, so we were constantly starving, and then you'd finally eat. And so, I mean, sometimes I would just binge out on things because I'm like, I'm just so hungry
Yeah.
because I wasn't getting the nutrients I needed, but didn't know it.
And then comes the cycle of beating oneself up for
Oh,
doing that.
totally.
So it's like it's this crazy cycle. I know when I finished swimming, and I haven't really shared that, but like I gained 40 pounds the first year I finished swimming because my body was used to training 6 to 8 hours a day on
Yeah,
next to nothing. So
right.
that mental part of like now you're in the world doing all these crazy, amazing things, yet just feeling not myself at all. And so
Hmm.
hard on myself because my body was so used to being depleted, right? So
Right,
it's like
right.
finding that beautiful, healthy balance. So
Yeah.
then, okay, so now what took you to, because I love the simplicity of your philosophy in the dig method. I'm like, oh my God, sister, yes. Like, so how did you come up to this? Like, what shifted you into working with the people that you are now in your dig method?
So I I would say probably 2018, 19, and then of course COVID hit. I had started really thinking, it amazes me how many really super smart people don't really understand what it means to be healthy.
Mm.
And And that kind of surprised me because I never felt like I was that smart. I mean, I think I have a lot of skill sets, so it didn't make me feel too sad. But I'm like, this is not that hard. But I had had a life of, well, first of all, I was so interested, and then when I had so many walls I ran into throughout my life that okay, so I was probably in my late 40s when all of a sudden I'm like, this is something I should get back to because I started being able having opportunities to talk to groups, small groups of people. And I was always very interested in the entrepreneur
Mhm.
because I was raised by an entrepreneur. I feel like I was a high performer myself, my brother, everyone around me were entrepreneurs. We were in some high level entrepreneur groups. And once I really got to know people, I'm like, man, these people are so successful and they are so messed up.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to be able to look behind the curtain of these people who have it all, right? Not all. They had what people perceive as having it all. They had the big houses, the fancy cars, the big companies, and being someone who lost a father at 41, I know that that is not a sustainable situation. And you do start seeing things. So, it's just like brick by brick. You just start putting things together. Like it's about between 45 and 50, people start getting blood work back. They start finding out that they're type 2 diabetic. They start finding out about the blood pressure. Like all these things start to really amplify mid 40s, some earlier for some, and it's getting earlier and earlier. Like the diseases that we're dealing with now are diseases that, I mean, kids are having type 2 diabetes. One in four teens, I think, is pre-diabetic, when that
Wow.
was a disease that people, if they got it, wasn't until the very end of life. So
Yeah.
it's all lifestyle, and just starting to do deep dives into metabolic health and the mental health crisis. So really over COVID, it started before, but over COVID, and then, I know that's a controversial subject, but watching again really smart people and how they behaved and what they thought was healthy and and their response to everything that was going on, I was like, no, I've got to do this. I've got to help people figure this out. It's not that tough. And then once you realize, like I create wellness programs for smaller companies. I'm working on getting into bigger companies because I think that is so important. But so many wellness programs, and I don't even like to call it a wellness program because it's very different. And most wellness programs fail
Mm.
because I think a couple of reasons, but two of the main reasons are they're looking at the wrong thing. And then the next thing is they have a tough time getting people engaged. But I
Yeah.
think the engagement doesn't happen because people try that, eat healthier, work out more. It's not that different than what we were seeing in the 80s. Like everyone has that thought, or not everyone, but I would say a vast majority of people think, oh, well, I just need to eat less and work out more or eat better. But what does that mean? And
Yeah.
so they're not getting to the root. And so to give you an idea of how I created DIG method, which DIG stands for deep internal growth. And
Mm.
it's a model I created to help people understand the basics of the human operating system because I mean, I took my biology classes, but I am no expert in that field. But I think that's kind of good because I know enough of what turns the needle as far as human health. And nowadays we have wearables, so we have so much data in real time that can tell us what's going on inside. And I think that is so cool. I know a lot of people that wear wearables and, it could be an Aura ring or something like that. But even I have several clients that wear an Aura ring, a continuous glucose monitor. So they constantly know, oh my gosh, my glucose is spiked. that's why I'm having a tough time focusing, or that's why, oh, now
Mhm.
it's crashing. That's why I feel like I need a nap several times a day. And just really understanding what you're eating, and it's not just food that can affect your glucose, but it's just this beautiful orchestration of our biochemistry that helps us to feel and perform at our peak. And
And just
so,
simply adjusting some of those things, but awareness is the first one to even kind of go, okay, why am I feeling like this? And it's not just band-aiding it either. It's like, okay,
right.
so what's a simple formula?
Mhm.
And that also people want, I think, that instant gratification and just know it's a
Yeah.
lifestyle. It's like an
Mhm.
identity, a lifestyle of who you are. So yeah,
It
so
is.
big.
So I took what I consider to be the three rocks of foundational health, which is circadian rhythm, nervous system regulation, and biochemical management is the easiest way to say it. But most people's eyes want to roll back in their head when I say that. Like, what does that even mean? So I've that's the core, but I've taken that information and wrapped it into four lifestyle uh, elements. So it's what you think, what you eat, how you move, and how you sleep. All four of those things create a chemical response in our brain and body that's either building our health or it's destroying it.
So good. So when I read it, I went, okay, yes, girl, I so get you because it sounds so simple, but it's so big. Like what I was sharing in my TEDx, it's like it was like amazing how nap, like, are we rested? And so I love learning about the circadian rhythm from you,
Hmm.
which is amazing. Snack, like what we're putting in mentally and physically, and play, and which is like that's moving, like just get out and
Yep.
move. And I love that you have the think part because it is like how we're thinking about things, how we're processing things, what we think
Right.
about the most, what we're focusing on. So, so powerful. I love how you've bridged them all together. And so now your system, how do you create that to get everyone moving in that direction?
Hmm. So, oftentimes I do what I call is my foundational talk. So, just to give people, because a lot of people that I'm working with now, I mean, I have one-on-one clients that I can go so deep with them. But what I want to do is help more people. So, oftentimes, like I was just at a company and they brought me in to do a talk for their all team meeting, and I have a great slide deck that can show, explain to them some things and just really get them to understand how and why it's so important. What is circadian rhythm and why is it important? And what about the nervous system? So I'm giving them just some basic ideas because I want people, if you listen to me do a 30, 45-minute talk, whatever, I like to always have Q&A because that makes it really fun. But if you can leave my talk, you will have at least three really valuable things that you can start immediately that will start turning the needle in the right direction. And I love when people will email me and say, "Oh my gosh, that helps so much." And but I always ask, so between think, eat, move, sleep, which one do you think is more important? And most people will say sleep. And then some people will be like, oh, and then I have a slide that kind of shows arrows going to all of them back and forth. Because I always say, if you don't have all four tires on the road, you're not going to get where you want to go. And so, yes, sleep is important, and but they're all important because
Mhm.
if you're thinking negative, unhelpful things, you don't think that's going to affect your sleep because when you think a bad thought, you get a cortisol hit, whether
Yeah,
you like it or not. And even the way, I do start usually with what you think because I want, just a nice little launching place. But I feel like that's our number one thing as a human being. It's our advantage, right? We have the ability to think about what we think about. And a lot of people don't, I mean, they might know, but they don't think about it often, is that our brain is wired to scan our environment for a threat to our survival. So all we do, so 80% of our thoughts are negative. And I think
crazy.
this is so funny when people like it. When I talk at I volunteer my time at high schools, and I always say, if you're noticing that most of your thoughts are negative, Good. You're working, your brain is working the right way. And as much as I try and teach people to work with their biology, when it comes to thinking and subconscious the stuff, it's where I teach people how to override the system.
Hmm.
Because 80%, if 80% of your thoughts are negative, awesome. Your brain is working the way it's supposed to. Nothing's gone wrong. So I
And
can,
that's good to know too, because I think, oh, something's wrong with me. But first of all, it's that awareness and going, okay, now I can choose. Like I can be
right.
aware, where is this going? And that's why I think the think part is the one that oversees the rest of them
Uh-huh.
all, because how we think about each of those other three, it
Hmm.
does filter into it. But it's like that awareness.
All of it.
I love one of my coaches, my Olympic coach, she would say, um, she has an acronym WAIT, and it's like, what am I thinking? Just pause for a
Oh, I
moment and
like
goes,
that.
okay, yeah. So it's really powerful. It's like, okay, so when you notice, and that's why just pausing for a bit to notice, what am I
Yep.
actually thinking about? That what am I thinking about that food? What am I thinking about moving? What am I thinking about? Like it does impact. And then wait,
Oh,
what am I thinking? And can I just shift this? How can I just shift this?
I
And
love that.
and the biggest shift starts with being able to move, first of all, like move out of the space that has you in that place. Right.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
powerful.
I love what you say. It's always awareness, right? I mean, it sounds so cliche, but until you become aware of what you're thinking, because another thing that, again, teaching the basics of the human operating system because we didn't really learn it in a way that we are implementing it in our life. And just as our heart beats without us thinking about it, we breathe without thinking about it, although we should, because breathing
The
is a big
power.
part of that's the
Yes.
quickest way to get control of your nervous system is your
Yes.
breath. So we
Yep.
should think about it. And it's like whatever, 23,000 breaths a day or something. I think that's right.
There's a song about
But
that. Yeah.
but and it's part of our autonomic nervous system, our brain thinks without us thinking about it. So
Yeah.
there's a constant thought track going on in the back of your head that's narrating things. And again, 80% of it is negative. But I mean, I remember, I could be walking through Target, just minding my own business. And all of a sudden I'm like, God, why can I not take a breath? And I think I love the wait. I've never heard that. But
Yeah.
I always say, what was I just thinking about that made me feel that way? Oh, I mean, as a mom, some of the things that you can think about that could possibly happen to your children that won't, but you're
Yes.
just like,
Correct.
I mean, and it can get away from you. And then you don't even realize, like, why was I thinking that way? Is that a helpful thing to think? And I tell people, some of my little tips and tricks is, oftentimes, especially, at this age, waking up at 3 in the morning because we're getting a cortisol hit at the wrong time because of hormonal reasons. And that's a whole other podcast
That's a whole
episode.
other podcast. Yeah.
Right. Oh gosh, we have so many topics to hit, girl. But you wake up at 3 in the morning and instead of like chewing on terrible thoughts, which we automatically do because our cortisol causes us to do that. And I tell people instead of letting yourself get on that loop of negative thoughts, because we literally build grooves into our brain that keeps us on that terrible loop track, that negative loop track. Instead of jumping on that loop track with no exit, immediately, I don't care if you have to sing row, row, row your boat, do it. But I have a couple of different little mantras. My kids used to always make fun of me, but because I would always say like, okay, when you're just not thinking good thoughts, you just close your eyes and say, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm safe, I'm loved. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm safe, I'm loved.
I
And
love it.
it's cheesy, but when you've got your brain, I said, if you don't give yourself something to think about, it's like a dog that doesn't have a bone. It's going to chew on the couch.
Okay, that's
My
so good. That's so good. I love that. If you don't give it something, so it's like planning that thought. I love that mantra. I think it's so
yes,
good because no matter what, it shifts our focus, it shifts our energy. You can't help
yes,
but start to take on that. And I'm going to remember that. If a dog
yes.
doesn't have a bone, it's going to chew on the couch. So it's like
I know.
give it something, plan something in order
Something.
to. I
And,
love that.
and again, if you have a favorite, sing a song, whatever you need to do, do not get on that path because you're just building that groove even deeper. And,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
love that. If that's the
but
one
I'm
tip
not
we take today, that's good. Like
totally.
you wake up, because who's not waking up at 3 in the morning? Do not pick up
Listen,
your phone. I just did that this week because I have
no,
too
do
many
not look
things.
at the phone. Do not
I
look at the time.
Yeah.
Do your
Row, row,
best. I
row your
mean,
boat.
yes, whatever. I mean, but again, just come up with something to think about. And I mean, my daughter called me the other day and just a little out of sorts. And she uses that. Like, I'm like, "Oh girl, are you chewing on the couch?" She's like, "Yep, I think I am." Because it's like we all can do that. And then we have to be
Yeah.
like, "Okay, stop. What else could I feed it?" But have something ready. Don't wait till you need to think about it. But like I said, if you can't think of anything, you just start singing row, row, row your boat and it'll help you.
That's so good.
Put you right back to sleep. You'll be bored to death.
So good. Oh my gosh, we could talk forever. Like
I know.
I love it. So Danny, what is the big thing you want people to know or walk away with? And I'm going to have all your contact information for them here, but what's the one thing you really want people to know?
I want people to again have the basic knowledge of how we operate because it's like there's I always say if you want to win a game, you have to at least know the basic rules. And
Mm,
and then once you know the rules, you can start strategizing, right? I mean, I'm not a big fan of the word hack, but because people say, "Oh, this is a hack or whatever." I'm like, "No, no, no, that's not a hack. That's actually the way our biology works." But you can, like I said, with the way you think and overriding the system. I think once you have the basic understanding of the human operating system, then you can start strategizing and you can start winning because as a country, more than the country, but just, keep it simple, we are losing the health
yes.
at the game of health. We're
Yeah.
losing. And
So
and with
true.
over 90% of adult Americans having a broken metabolism, that's not okay. That's
Yeah.
not okay. And we have some of the best healthcare in the world. This is not a healthcare problem. And I always am very clear. I have lots of close family members in the healthcare world. I'm like, I am not bashing healthcare. It's not a healthcare issue, but people want to go to healthcare to solve the problem, and it's a lifestyle issue. But I don't blame people. There's so much noise out there, so people don't
Yeah.
know what to do. And to
Yeah.
me, it's like once you understand our biology and again how we are designed to operate, it's amazing how things just seem to fall into place when you're aligned with biology, with our biology. It's so important and I just feel so passionate, and that's again where I am not a trained speaker. I'm going to Toastmasters because I'm trying to get it out there, but I want to get the word out. I don't want to just work one-on-one. I do love working with one-on-one people that are really focused and want me to go through their blood work and check their wearables and do all that stuff. That's fun. But I really want to affect more people because I'm like, this is not common sense. It's just not. It should
No.
be,
And
but
like you
it's not.
say, and what you were saying at the beginning too, there's so many people that have achieved in so many different areas, but like if we don't have this, and that's why
You got
this
nothing.
this conversation is so fundamental because that's one of my core beliefs. Like we can achieve what we get to achieve in wholeness, and that means being healthy, vibrant, and strong on that journey.
Mhm,
And we need your
mhm.
voice out in the world. We need many voices out in the world that are sharing this message. But to hear, you don't need to be a trained speaker to do it. This is coming from your passion of this is your lived experience. That's
Yes,
like sharing
yes.
from your heart, sharing your story, sharing, you have like lived experience of like, this is not on both hands. This is not a joke. This is serious, and it doesn't have to be that hard.
It
So it
doesn't.
doesn't have to be that hard. Like
Mhm,
we shouldn't have to work so hard on, but when we understand, like you said, the basics and the biology and our
mhm.
operating system, oh my God, A equals B. But we think that we can't just take that for granted that people have that knowledge. You
No,
came into
no.
that because of, everything
Some
that you were
hard-earned
going.
lessons.
Exactly. And so we don't want other people to go through that. So I just
Right.
like I'm happy to share the work that you're doing, and I love it because we need more people that are advocates for us being healthier because it doesn't matter in the end. If you
Mhm.
if we if you live to 100 and you have like horrible quality of life, but we want that
Right.
quality of life and to enjoy it because you can have the mansions, you can have all the things, but if you don't have that, it
Mhm.
just doesn't matter.
Right. And then
And
to achieve all the success, which a lot of people I work with, they've hit all those areas. But if you don't have health, well, I mean, what is
yeah,
it worth?
I think that health and relationships, you don't want to lose those on the way.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like this is a fundamental one. So I always love asking this question, Danny. This is my favorite question at the end that I ask everyone is what would you tell your 12-year-old self?
Oh. Hmm. Yeah, wow. I think kind of what I tell my kids is life is 50-50. And I don't care what you achieve in life. Life is 50-50. We have contrasts for a reason. And I like to use my story as proof that I wouldn't be able to teach what I teach without having gone through 4 horrible years of wanting a child and not being able to get pregnant. And then, just all these things that you go through and you losing my father. I mean, there's just been a lot of points in my life where it just felt like, what? It's just contrast. And it's just part of it because and I heard something the other day on a podcast, and the guy said, nothing good happens in the light, and I was like, oh, wow, and
Mhm.
that's an interesting way to think about it. But it's not wonderful to be in the light. We all have those moments in life where like, okay, everybody's good right now, we're all healthy, let's enjoy it. But you're not getting your deep, meaningful lessons in that light, right? You
Mm.
just can enjoy. That's when you get to coast. But I think it's important to know that life is 50-50, and when it's good, enjoy it. And when it's not, just know it's going to get good again. What
Oh,
am I learning here? What can I do to make this don't make it harder on yourself. Don't make that contrast harder on yourself. But so I think that I like young people to understand that it's the hard stuff is all part of it. It's part of the story. And so don't give it too much. Don't add layers of suffering on top of it.
oh my God.
Right?
So good. That's so beautiful. What a powerful message. I love that. I can only imagine your kids are amazing.
They are, I gotta say, they're pretty
Yes,
awesome.
so good. I have four and they're close to the same. Well, my
Oh,
oldest is 30, which now I got 30, 31, and then 30, 29, and 20, well, 28, turning 29, and then my baby's just turned 24. So yeah,
oh,
just the greatest gift in the world and the greatest like lessons
oh.
oh my God, like amazing. So then the last question is, what would your 12-year-old looking at you now say to you?
Oh, that makes me a little emotional. Keep going. Get it, keep going. I have my daughter's 22, but she's so encouraging because I definitely am, even at this age, I feel like, oh, I have so much to say and so many things to do, and I want to get the word out. And then, I turn on my camera to make a video, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to do that today. I mean, I still find that I get up to the edge and go, so I think my 12-year-old self would just be super encouraging. Just do it. You get one shot, girl. Just go for it.
I love that so much. That's why, okay, you're just like such a perfect guest to be on here too, because it is
Mhm.
inspiring possibilities, the courage to jump in, because it constantly is taking
Yes.
us courage. I don't care what chapter we're in, there's always that courage is part of it to like keep stepping in, keep going. And I love that you said that your daughter said that to you because my kids say that to me all the time too. And it's
Mm.
just like, and we get to be like, it's not what we're saying, but it's who we are being and what we are doing that is more of a lesson than anything else. And so
Oh, for
they're
sure.
my encouragement to keep getting out there, keep doing the things, keep sharing the stories. And sharing stories of inspiration like yours is like oxygen. It's like
Oh,
we don't just get it once, like we get to hear. And so
right.
thank you so
Oh,
much for
thank
being
you.
here.
This
And
is so nice. And I just loved your TED Talk. That's one of my goals for the next year or two. I just think that would be such an amazing experience. And I really enjoyed watching yours.
oh, so good. Well, you keep me posted and I will be cheering you on, girl, because we need
Thank
we
you.
need strong messages and beautiful messages that come from the heart out there. So
Right on.
thank you. Thank you for being here. What a powerful conversation with Dani. I love Dani's reminder that real health and sustainable performance comes from learning to work with our biology, not constantly fighting against it. You can connect with Dani and learn more about her DIG method in digmethod.com. And if this conversation resonates with you and you're all ready to connect with your own health, momentum, and possibility, I'd love to invite you to connect with me as well. You can find my TEDx, podcast episodes, and a free guide to jump into your starter guide. All the resources are in the notes below. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who may need this conversation as well. And feel free to leave a review. It truly helps us continue spreading these messages and build this incredible community together. And remember, you never know what's possible until you have the courage to jump in.